Okay, this is my real one though. I actually gave some thought about this, and if anybody has played like what they did with Zelda and Hyrule Warriors, so you got that Warriors Dynasty thing that I think that would be fun with Pokemon.
And now, coming to you live from atop the Lavender Town Radio Tower, it's the one, the only Pucko Podcast!
It's Pucko! Pucko! It's Pucko! Pucko! Pokemon Underground Champions League, oh yeah! Pucko! Grab your friends, it's that time again! Listen to the show with the fun never ends. It's Pucko! Pucko! Oh yeah! Pucko! Your host, Drink That! Your co-host, Larry Hat! It's Pucko! Pucko! Oh yeah, yeah, yeah! Pucko! Pucko!
And welcome to the 346th episode of the Puckle Podcast. I am your host, Trainer Thatch, here today with my stupendous co-host,
Zakron.
And Gator.
And as always, we are here to bring you the Puckle Podcast. Puckle, of course, standing for the Pokemon Underground Champions League, a name we came up with in 2007. However, we are your Pokemon podcast stop for everything Pokemon, from the video game to the trading card game to even Pokemon Origins. We talk everything Pokemon. So welcome to the show. Not the shoe. We aren't a shoe. But
welcome to the shoe.
Thatch is actually an old lady who lives in a shoe.
Next time.
There's not a lot of real estate in Dayton, so Pucklegon's going to be a little stinky this year. But we're all excited.
Shoe Pokemon Gen 8.
Welcome to the show if you're new. Welcome back if you're old. We have an excellent show lined up for you today, and we're excited to get to it. But before any of that, I just want to know what you guys been up to lately.
Well, I've been on Pokemon Showdown making a bunch of OU teams and playing with those.
Ooh. You having fun with
I
that?
have got to say, I really, really like Tornadus Therian. I've been playing with that a lot.
Yeah. He's solid, man.
Yeah. Like, I don't even run flying type move. I just decided to run, like, what was it? Heat Wave, U-turn, Sludge Wave to, like, deal with the Tapus.
Yeah. This is like typical normal stat. He gets knockoff, so it's good utility.
Oh, yeah,
as
totally.
well. And then he can run on Assault Vest. And he's bulkier than the bulkiest boy.
Bulkiest boy.
Well, you're doing the Summer League Challenge too, right?
Yeah, I have one badge because I keep getting thrashed by all the gym leaders. But that's really on me because I haven't bothered to like bring anything over that wasn't on my draft league team. Like, I only beat Whimsicott because I finally was like selling out and was like, okay, I'll bring my Magiarna over. Yeah. I got really close to beating Claude, but Focus missed.
I was playing against British Gent one night because I'm a gym leader and he was challenging my gym, and he brought a team that could definitely beat me. Like, there's definitely some holes in the team, as there should be, because I want people to be able to figure them out, learn how to play, get comfortable with different things, and so he brings a Scarf Chinchino, and I'm just like, oh man, if he does the right thing, like, this can just mess me up, right? And he goes and he has me in a position where if he hits a Rock Blast with Chinchino, he wins the game, right? And it's a solid 2-hit KO to take out this Chinchino for me right now. And so I click the button, I get a move off. He goes for Rock Blast, it misses. He does it the next turn, he misses it again, and then I end up winning. And I felt so bad. I'm like, you should have totally won.
Yeah, that's like the story of my life. Puckle Draft League Season 1 against Geo. I was so salty because I literally would have won, and like, Anyway, what about you, Gator?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm kind of just boycotting Pokemon Go right now. Like, slightly.
Okay, that confuses me because you're level 37 in Pokemon Go, right?
Okay, so here's what happened, right? You know, a good way to get to 37 is to purchase yourself one of those Pokemon Go Plus accessory wristbands. Well, when they don't care about updating their game and how it interacts with those bands, that cost me $35 out of my money, out of my pocket, my own personal hardworking money. You get a little salty about it. And ever since the last update, it's not been working with my Go Plus. So I have to use an outside software to sometimes be able to get it to connect. The software is a Bluetooth booster. So if anybody's having a problem with their Pokemon Go Plus that's on Android that's having a similar thing, so it's called the Go Companion, I believe. But you can just look up, Bluetooth booster for Pokemon Go, and you should be able to find it online. But still, it's ridiculous. However, I did have an invitation to a EX raid last Thursday.
Did you go? Did you break your rule and go?
I had to go break my boycott and catch a Mewtwo, and I caught it on the first ball, and it's a 91%, so it's a really good Mewtwo.
That's not too bad.
Yeet. Wow, nice.
But then I used a charge TM to get Psychic off of it, and it ended up with Hyper Beam, which is literally the worst thing it could have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was aiming for Shadow Ball, but now I'm stuck waiting to get another charge TM to try to roll the dice and gamble again.
Were you hoping to get Shadow Ball to like deal with all the Psychic stuff coming up?
It's the Confusion's Shadow Ball set is the best set for Mewtwo as a generalist sweeper. So it tends to be really good just for taking out any gems, because the Confusion knocks out a lot of stuff, and then Shadow Ball is a good neutral hitter for most of the gym defenders. And then, it's good for raids too. And then as far as like TCG stuff, which is what I usually do, I've been having some fun with that. I'm really looking forward to PuckleCon and getting to judge that.
PuckleCon's in like 2 weeks, which is really scary to think about.
Yeah, I'm already planning out my trip, and I got to be at the airport at 4:00 in the morning.
So like not too early.
Yeah, not too early. Fun times. But yeah, I'm trying to think about what decks I want to take, and the North American International Championships was this weekend, and just seeing all the different like diversity of the meta, not seeing a Buzzwole in the top 8, and just kind of making me think, what deck should I bring for fun? So that's been my spiel lately with Pokemon.
It's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a blast.
I really love the Pokemon TCG, just like how diverse it is, honestly, compared to other card games that I play.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been also hopping into like a little bit of Commander for Magic the Gathering lately, just as kind of a side game, because sadly recently our league leader at my shop passed away. So
that's not good.
Yeah, it's been rough. So trying to get everything still organized at the shop, and I've been stepping it up, and another individual has been stepping it up to help the store owner organize the league and get the kids to come out. And so it's been tricky. And then summertime's a difficult time too. So if anybody out there is in a Pokemon league, you know how tricky it is, because once the kids don't have a schedule anymore, it's all rambunctious, and they end up not showing up until school starts back up. So it's a really turbulent time in the Pokemon TCG at my general area.
Yeah.
But the game's growing. We had a brand new person swing by the other day, and I love the generosity of the Pokemon community. This guy's like a classic Gen 1er with like Wizards of the Coast cards back from '97.
Heck yeah.
All mint condition. He comes in, and like one of the 10-year-old kids is there, and the dude reaches in his stuff and pulls out this like shiny Snorlax and just like hands it to the kid. He's like, "Here, you could have this." And it's just like
that kid's life was just determined for him.
Like it was so cool. Like the dude,
that's legit.
And he wanted to buy that guy. He just wanted to buy a deck for his buddy, like because his buddy wanted to play like competitively. So he bought a deck off my friend and then just gave a kid a random card. Like, dude was super chill. So I love seeing that in the community. That's one of the things I like about Pokemon. Is like Pokemon people are really nice.
Yeah, most Pokemon people are actually great. It's when you get into the video game people, like those people scare me sometimes.
There's not enough of them to care.
That's really the honestly you're not wrong, right?
Like they're with them now making regionals with just TCG players. Like,
oh man, I saw that, and I wish I could have sat down on TCG Cast and talked with you guys about that, because that has so many implications.
Well,
I've been saying for the longest time, the VGC scene's going to die. Like, it's kind of just a sideshow compared to the TCG.
Well, they've realized they don't need it to sell consoles, but having a competitive scene for the TCG does help sell cards.
Oh, absolutely. Because you have to sit in person to play that, right?
Exactly.
And it's really difficult for like us at P.U.C.L to be able to have a TCG tournament that's effective, right? Because you'd have to sit there and you have to play online. You can't play with the physical cards. And you can go buy the game and we can run effective tournaments all day, all night on P.U.C.L, which is the difference because you can do that from the comfort of your own bed. You don't even have to put on pants. You can come to do a tournament with P.U.C.L.
That's exactly how I view recording this podcast. You literally just described everything.
As the current P.U.C.L certified VGC judge, I have to say I object to this entire conversation.
I mean, I think that VGC is going to die. I think you're going to see the circuit just kind of wane away. I don't think it'll ever go away, but it's just going to stagnate. It's been stagnant for a while, actually.
Well, I think it kind of
comes online capabilities. Like that's the problem. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't have to meet up with people,
exactly.
It comes and goes in waves, yo. Like whenever the new competitive only games supposedly come out, which from what I understand are what the next game's going to be, then it's probably going to see a revival again. So
I want to just take a break and say you have to kind of look at the wave of the TC or the video game like in real battle numbers as kind of like climate, and kind of look at it over a span of 3 years because it's a typical generation cycle, right? You get the VGC format that is going to have all of the Pokemon from the new game, and that's it. It's just going to be the regional decks, and then you're going to have the national decks here, and then you have the 2 legendaries here, right? And you'll notice every single time that happens, the first new generation is always higher than the previous year, right? And then it just goes down because nobody wants to get legends, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually look at the numbers haven't grown over that cycle. Like that cycle just keeps repeating itself and the numbers don't go up. But if you look at TCG, those numbers are consistently going up.
Yeah, we've had, 1,000-person regionals for the first time. It's been getting crazy. So the interest is still there, but part of that too is there's a lot of bad decision making in other TCGs that are driving people towards Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And with Pokemon's increased prize support, it helps to get people out. Plus, they made the invite for Worlds pretty easy this year. Like, if you're a decent player, you didn't even have to play the whole year to earn an invite.
Just 400 points wasn't bad at all.
No. You could do that in cups, literally. If you could top 8, if you could take first in 2 cups a quarter, you go to Worlds. So,
I think that's the way it should be, honestly, because I don't think it should be a point where you have to travel a ton to go get your Worlds invite. I mean, it should be that way.
It depends on how you see Worlds. Do you see it as the elite of the elite, or do you see it as a group of all the really good players? Like that's what you have to decide.
That last one, I just see it as a group of good players. Like that's all I see it as. And I think if you do well enough on a local level, it should be like you're the representative from that local area going to Worlds to represent your local area.
Well, Chris Szymanski, he's a pretty big name in the competitive TCG side, and he also does a lot of data analytics. And he looked at actually the results from all the tournaments of the last year and had some really interesting information, like something like only 3% of all the total players who participate in the regionals go to more than 2. It was some crazy number like that. So like there's this perception that it's this chase among these top players or stuff like that, but regionals actually are a really localized thing.
Is that just for TCG? Is that just for TCG?
Yeah, that's what he was looking at for TCG.
Yeah, I would be interested to see what the numbers are for VGC. I feel like there's a difference for the VGC, only because there aren't a lot of local events for VGC, in my personal experience. There haven't been as many local premier challenges anymore.
I think one of the things that may be impacting this is just the Pokemon Company is kind of bad about like outreach and like interest into actually like making the public aware that these events are happening in the first place.
They did a much better job this year, I think. I mean, they're continually improving. I think there's always room for improvement, but they're just continually improving. We'll cut it off there, and we're going to go kick it on over to the news. So let's cue that epic music.
Live from the Lavender Town Radio Tower. This just in.
And on to the news. Well, there isn't much, but if you're listening to this, it's too late now. You should have a Squirtle from Pokemon Community Day. That happened. But unfortunately, if you want one now, it's too late. Or maybe you should just go find somebody to trade you one. So there you go. You can have cool sunglasses, and apparently you can get them shiny with the sunglasses too, which is something I heard.
That's gonna be baller.
Yeah,
and then I think it's got like Hydro Cannon on the Blastoise.
On the Blast, yeah, that makes sense. That would make sense to me. Other than that, Pokemon International, North American Internationals happened this weekend. You missed that as well. And we don't have the winners yet because that is currently happening as of recording. So we cannot give you the winners. But North American Internationals are happening in Columbus, Ohio. It looks like they finally moved them back there because they were tired of Indiana. And they're just like, yeah, Columbus is like Indianapolis. And they're not wrong. They aren't that wrong.
They're not that wrong. I don't know. Columbus had North Market, and that was legit.
That's true.
Shout out to North Market.
Yeah, that's true. North Market's delicious, man. It's the only place in Columbus you can get Polish food. Fun fact. But yeah, no, so, I mean, I think Columbus's streets are also laid out better than Indianapolis's, personally. But that might just be because I lived in Columbus and I never lived in Indianapolis.
That's a very odd critique to make for their Pokemon event, but okay.
Because it's easier to get around. It's also easier to park there. The parking at the Indianapolis Convention Center sucked.
That's true. We didn't have to walk far to do PuckleCon there.
Not at all. It wasn't bad to park there at all.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can absolutely hear you.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But we missed you. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I realized I had been muted and I was like trying to say stuff and Thatch just kept talking.
You weren't muted.
Well, he muted himself.
Oh, my bad. Anyway.
Also, what's going on currently is a Pikachu with sunglasses and a hat to help celebrate the 2nd anniversary of Pokemon Go. So that's cool. If you want a Pikachu with aviators and a sun hat, I guess?
It's a nice hat. It's got flowers on it.
Yeah, it's just really odd. It's just like, man, what other hats haven't we put on Pikachu at this point?
That's why it's not odd. I think that they were experimenting, putting sunglasses on a Pokemon. And if they have to build the assets for it for Squirtle, they might as well do something with the Pikachu.
That's fair. I would have been fine with just the glasses and not the hat on Pikachu, though. Like, I would have been totally fine with that. Also, they should start work on little miniature guitars for Pokemon and Pokemon Go. There was actually an official asset way back in the day of like a Meowth rocking out on a guitar.
That's cool.
I want that. Like, make that an event in Pokemon Go.
In further Pokemon Go news, if you have the Pikachu fan medal, you can buy Pikachu merchandise for a limited time in the shop.
Ooh, that is true.
Yep.
But good luck catching 300 Pikachu.
Yeah.
I don't even have that, and I'm like played too much Go. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're right. So you get those cool Pikachus, man. The Pikachu. Where am I going with this? There was something
the Pikachu.
The Pikachu. But we're gonna move on to other Pokemon news, and that is it. Actually, there is no other Pokemon news because it's been a Pokemon Go week. Nationals was happening, and that's about it, man. But if you want to do more awesome Puckle stuff, we have plenty of Puckle news for you guys. First of all, in 2 weeks, PuckleCon is happening, so be there or be square. That is July 21st to July 22nd. At the Dayton Convention Center, room 306. It's a giant room, and I hope we fill it, but I'm not feeling super confident.
I think we have a pretty good chance.
They gave us a room that was meant for twice the number of people I said we were expecting.
We have a lot of people coming, and like there may be random people too.
I do expect random people who haven't like told us on the Discord like, hey, I'm coming. I do expect like 1 or 2 of those. That happens every year. You always get like a random minor Manetric, you know? He just shows up at PuckleCon and it's just like, hey, I'm here. And it's just like, oh, that's cool, man.
I came all the way from Alaska.
Yeah. And you get those random Europeans that just drop in. So definitely watch out for that. But yeah, I'm super excited for PuckleCon just to hang out with everybody. It's always a good time. I hope the events go well. We need to get a few other things hammered out here and there. But for the most part, everything's planned out. It's going to be a good time. And then finally, if you want to do something online, if you can't make it to PuckleCon, first, you should definitely just come by the Discord and do our Summer League, where we have different gym leaders who are available throughout the day. There's an announcement in our announcements channel on Discord that will give you a link so you can check out all of the gym leader times and all of the information for Summer League. If you get 8 badges and then you win the tournament at the end of the league, you can win a shiny new 2DS XL courtesy of Puckle. So definitely check that out. I think that's everything, though, that I wanted to cover. So we are going to close it off there, and we're going to head over to Puckle's Poke Quiz, where we're going to quiz your co-host on their innate/learnt Pokemon knowledge. And on to Puckle's Poke Quiz, the part of the show where we quiz your host on their innate Pokemon knowledge. Innate. Let it all be known that it's innate. They are born with this. They come out of the womb and they're just like, we know what's happening in Pokemon.
Shaking my head.
I feel like that's gonna be your children, though. That's something you're gonna pass on, just like genetically.
I don't know if I'm gonna do it genetically, but I'm definitely forcing my kids to like do the Pokemon circuit. Because for juniors, it's so easy for them to go to Worlds and stuff. It's absurd.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting all the scholarship money just by going to these events. Like, I will go there and go to these events and let them go. I'm going to be the cool dad. But no, it's going to be like the soccer dad that the kids are tired of playing soccer, you know? They're just like, we're really not that into it, but our dad's into it, you know? And so they're just going to get tired of me at one point and just be like, we don't want to play Pokemon anymore, Dad. And I'll be like...
You're going to be like one of those Southern moms who dresses up their daughter and forces them to compete in the, Little Miss Sunshine
Absolutely. Absolutely. Except it's going to be me shoving like a Pokemon team into my child's hands and being like, do well.
You're going to learn how to play this most broken deck if you like it or not. and then we'll go get ice cream.
Yay! I digress. We are going to go ahead and quiz your co-host by asking them 5 questions. Each of these questions is worth 1 point. One of them will have a bonus point. They will also have a hint that they can use at any time to help answer these questions. There are, and if they get all of the questions correct, they can, without using the hint, they can cash it in for an extra point for a possible total of 7 points.
Ooh, bring it on, pal. You're looking at a Game Corner winner 2018.
You're looking at somebody that has gotten the 7 points, I think twice.
Yeah. So it's also a pretty fresh ladder. I think everybody's tied with I think Sublime's in the lead with 6 points. And that's about
on TCG Cast.
6-5. You guys are in a race of 30 against the other co-host. You will be operating as a team for this episode. And we are racing to 30, and if you get there, you get a Pokemon plush from PokemonCenter.com of your choice under $20.
Under $20.
Under $20. Because I don't need any of this nonsense like, I really like that Snorlax, and it's like the $250 beanbag Snorlax. Okay?
Okay, what if I send you the money to make up the difference?
Totally, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
I'd probably just ask for another Bounce Suite to add to my collection of Bounce Suite plushes.
Well, it goes with the new announcement that they're going to start launching, starting this week actually, 30 of the original Pokemon are getting plushes, and then in November, the rest of the original 151 are getting new plushes.
I love how, I was talking to our Sigma about that. Yeah, and he was like, don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a Jinx plush.
Wow, real.
All right. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. All of these questions come from Cloud9 today. They're all in the vein of gym badges and trials. So it's actually really interesting. It's the theme today. So we're gonna jump into it. So I want to know. We're gonna start off easy, hopefully easy for you guys. What is the name of the badge that Brawly gives a trainer that beats his gym?
I know this, Gator.
All right, what is it?
It's the Knuckle badge. Yeah, because I Gen 3, right?
Yes.
I'm 100%. Yeah, it's the Knuckle badge, right?
I agree.
Is that your final answer?
Yes. Wait.
Okay,
yes.
Gator says yes. That is correct.
Okay,
the
I was
knuckle
doubting
badge.
myself. You made me doubt myself.
He does that on purpose. You got to just power through.
I just
All right.
need to know if it's your final answer. Like, I get answers, and I'm just like, is that the one you're going with? And then you need to say yes.
Yeah,
All
Gen
right.
3 is my thing main.
That is 1 for 1. So good on you guys there. So
Let's
starting
hit
off
all
strong. In Generation 6, how many badges did you need to obtain in order for Ultra Balls to start showing up in shops? I'll give you a plus or minus 1 on this.
All right. So
Is it like 3? Because it's like you get the Pokeball, and then I'm gonna go with like 3.
Wait,
I feel like
wait,
it
wait.
didn't take that long.
if we have a plus or minus 1, it'd be more reasonable to guess 4, I think.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's 3, but we can guess 4 if you like.
Is that your
'cause
final answer?
I don't have a definite answer here, but yeah, I think 4 is pretty reasonable to guess. Yeah, 4.
That is within the margin of error. The answer is actually 3. And
Yeet.
but four calls it, so we are gonna accept that. That is 2 points for you guys today. You guys are doing real strong right now. All right, so number 3 has to do with trials, kind of. It's pretty much the same question. How many trials did you have to go through before full restores showed up in Pokemarts in Generation 7? And I'll give you the plus or minus 1 here again.
I don't
Full restores.
Like this. He is intentionally making them all gym related.
Like that's really specific. Full restore is the one that's HP and it's
Yes.
um
I shouldn't be helping, but I am, I guess.
I think you have to beat the game, don't you?
No, I don't think so. Okay, so let's just count the trials. There's 1 on Melee. There are 3 on Akala. Plus the Kahuna. Are the Kahuna fights included in this?
No, just
All right.
trials. Those aren't
All right.
trials.
Okay, so 4 we can basically rule out, I think, unless it's right after Akala.
I'm pretty sure you have to beat the game.
All right. Well, we'll go with that then. How many trials are there total then? There's the fairy.
There's 1 for each island, isn't there? So it should be 4.
No, those are the Kahunas, mate.
Oh,
Yeah, there
Can we
are
just say
3 on
after
Akala,
all
1
of
on
them?
Melee. There are, I want to say, 3 also on Ula Ula, because there's the Ghost, Electric, and wait, what's the other one? I just remember 2 on Ula Ula actually, unless you count like Guzma. No, Guzma doesn't really count. So I guess it is just those 2. So yeah, it's 5, 6, and then there's 7, 8, maybe. Man, this is hard. I'm
You
just
have to
gonna.
go 7 trials. Let's just go with that.
All right.
Like,
That
'cause
is correct.
Whoa!
There are
it's the end of the game, right?
there are 7 trials in Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and in Sun and Moon. They are slightly different depending on which game you're playing, because it depends on what trials on Pony Island. Because Pony Island will actually change between the Fairy one and the Dragon one, depending on what game you're playing. However, that does give you a total of 7 trials. All you need is 7 trials so you can get full restores, because you can't get them until you beat the game. Until you head to the Elite Four.
Power of teamwork, mate.
So that is 3 points for you guys.
Let's do this.
So the next question is your bonus point question.
Oh no.
And this question has 3 possible answers, so you only need to get 2 of them. So in the first 3 generations, badges boosted the stats of your Pokemon. Which badges raised your attack? And you don't have to get the names correct, but if you give me like the gym leader or something, I'll accept that as well. So I need to know which ones raised your attack.
So
The names of the badges, or just the?
I will take both, as long as I can identify which badge you're talking about.
So definitely the Boulder badge. That would be from Kanto.
All right.
And Hoenn, it was the stone one.
The stone. So
Stone
that's
badge.
Roxanne, which was the granite. I want to say granite badge.
No, I think it was the stone badge. I think it was just called stone badge.
Roxanne's badge.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it's just the stone badge. Like boulder badge, stone badge.
Oh, okay.
And then Gen 2.
Was it?
Oh wait, we only need 2. So yeah, we'll just go with those 2 because I don't know what Gen 2 is.
Are you positive that it's the first gym?
I'm positive it's the boulder badge and the stone badge. I want to say stone badge.
All right. Instead of saying stone badge, can we just say Roxanne?
Yeah, I'll just take it. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that is correct on both accounts. It is the Boulder badge, the Zephyr badge, and the Stone badge that will give you this boost in attack.
Zephyr badge. That's what it was. I only played Crystal, and I was like a dumb kid, so I don't remember playing Crystal.
But that gives you 5 points so far today, guys. You're doing pretty good. So
okay,
now,
no pressure.
So now the next question is the base stat question. And I want to know about special defense this week. And I want to know what fire-type Pokemon has the highest base special defense.
Is it mono fire type or?
No, it could be any.
Oh, okay. Because some episodes you've been doing.
Yeah, I will say it's monotype if it is. I will say that, but this is just any fire type.
Okay. Pretty sure it's Ho-Oh.
Well, the stuff that comes to mind with high special defense: Ho-Oh, Heatran, maybe like Primal Groudon or something. I try to think Megas.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about Primal Groudon.
I don't think it's Victini. That's all 100, I think.
Yeah, it's a mythic, isn't it? So isn't mythic usually?
There aren't many legendary fire types, right? So maybe it's not Reshiram. Nope. You know what? Wait. What are the mega fires? It's nothing really scary, right? No, it's like Charizard and Blaziken and.
I'm pretty sure it's Ho-Oh.
All right, yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think if you're fine with it, I'm not.
Let's try to get all 7 points. I think
is that your final answer?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct. It is Ho-Oh. That gives you guys the 7 points for today. So good job getting all of the points possible. That's something that hasn't happened in a while.
Okay, I'm too stressed to do the rest of the podcast. Can we talk about nice things?
So out of fire types with high special defense, it's like Ho-Oh at base 154, and then I think the next one is literally like Mega Charizard Y and Reshiram.
Oh, I forgot about
tied
that
for
one.
It's Reshiram at 120 and then Mega Charizard Y at 115.
What, for reference, what's Primal Groudon? Because that one was my
Oh my gosh, that's man, Groudon has to be way down there. One sec, it's probably way down there. So Primal Groudon's special defense is 90. It's not even that good.
Okay, so that's better.
It usually doesn't matter because most of the time water moves completely fizzle against it. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I was just thinking, because Flareon was one of my other guesses, but I knew it had to be one of the legendaries, because Flareon's got a pretty high one.
Base 130 is the highest you can go with an evolution.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and also it's in Flareon's attack. Yeah, that's why he's sad. But all right, that is going to be it for PokeQuiz. That gives you guys a solid 7 points, though, and that gives you guys the lead, I think.
Yeah.
So far. Getting closer to that. Getting closer to what's that called? That Pokemon plush from PokemonCenter.com.
Bounsweet number 2.
Bounsweet. I don't know. Is there a Bounsweet plush on PokemonCenter.com?
I don't know.
I'll
be right back with them.
You're asking the real questions right now. The score is Scrawn and Gator in the lead with 7 points. In third place, we have Sublime with 6th, and in fourth and fifth, or tied for fourth, we have Dr. Shamu and Mr. Maximus. Everybody else has yet to get on the board. Booyah. All right.
Yeah.
We are going to go ahead and change gears and take a little break, and we'll be right back at you with the topic.
Hey Puckalonians, it's Sublime Manic. Can't get enough of your favorite flip-flopping podcast? Then check out our social media. You can find links to our Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube all from our website, pucklepodcast.com. And you can join our Discord to hang out with your favorite hosts and other Puckalonians. Also, check us out at twitch.tv/thepucklepodcast. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, consider subscribing to our Twitch channel. You can also check us out at YouTube at YouTube/PucklePodcast. And we also have a Patreon if you're able to give anything at patreon.com/PucklePodcast.
And on to the topic. Our topic today is going to be games we'd like to see cross over with Pokemon. I thought this was an interesting topic just because there were a lot of things that I was thinking about. I think the biggest crossover in a lot of our minds is Pokemon Conquest. I don't know. What's the biggest crossover in your mind then? That's not Pokemon Conquest.
Doesn't have to exist
Bejeweled.
yet.
Yes, that's what I was using as an example.
It's Bejeweled with Pokemon Shuffle.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, that's probably the more successful one. I will say that.
It's true.
Pokemon...
Although they discontinued support for it, so now it's just on one giant loop.
Oh, that's so sad.
I withdraw then until we hit the topic.
I just wanted to use it because I thought it was a really fun thing to think about. Think about crossovers with the Pokemon franchise and other spin-off games, because while we're sitting here waiting for the inevitable next Pokemon game, spin-off games are traditionally how we've kind of filled that void in our lives when we want a new Pokemon game. I know I did that with Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon and was horribly disappointed. And because the gameplay just wasn't that great. I'm not a big fan of the Mystery Dungeon series, by the way. I guess that's technically a crossover too.
Yeah, Mystery Dungeon was not originally Pokemon.
Yeah, it was. That's a franchise that's been around for a while, and they decided to put Pokemon with it, and it was very successful, and it does really well because they keep making them. Though we haven't gotten one for Gen 7 yet. There hasn't been a Gen 7 Mystery Dungeon. Probably because Super Mystery Dungeon wasn't received that well, and I believe the one before that still wasn't received that well either.
Well, Super Mystery Dungeon had the problem, like, it was a good game, but the problem was that, like, five days in, you could recruit a freaking Salamence, and it just kind of ruins the whole grind of the event. Like, I have this now overpowered Pokemon that can always be on my team.
Yep, they were just like, hey, you're level, 15? Here's a level 50 Pokemon. That's yours now.
What about that time they crossed over with Pixelmon and made Pokemon Quest?
I don't know. I wouldn't call that a crossover. I would call that a premonition more than anything else. Because
or the time they were like, oh, Magic the Gathering's really hot. Let's put our Pokemon on cards.
I don't know if that was a crossover either.
It was all Wizards of the Coast, though.
It was Wizards of the Coast because they saw an opportunity. They're just like, let's go become a multimedia franchise. And then Wizards of the Coast was like, yeah, we could use a gateway drug. And they came up with Pokemon TCG. And then they tried to kill it because they wanted the adults to transition to Magic. And they stopped having Masters events for Pokemon TCG. It's a good time.
Yep.
And they're going to try to murder it to the ground. And then Pokemon's like, and that now Pokemon owns the TCG. That's the story. We just went full loop there.
And Pokken's technically like a type of crossover. It's a genre crossover.
It's Tekken.
Yeah.
It's based on Tekken.
It is based off Tekken. That is why it's called Pokken.
So,
do we ever get official pronunciation of that, by the way?
It's pronounced Pokken.
Is it Pokken or Pokken?
So
I made that up.
Well, actually, Gator's right, and you're right. It's if you're in Japanese, it's Pokken. So it does have the K sound of Thatch, but also the Po sound of Gator. So you're both right. Yay!
I just want to know.
Being right.
Yeah. I just wanted to know.
All right.
Pokken Tournament is also something you'll be able to see at PuckleCon. Yay! Shameless plugs for events.
You know, it'd be a really cool crossover though. Actually, legit this time. When are we gonna get our open world Pokemon game a la Skyrim? There you go, guys. Bingo card. You're welcome.
Skyrim Pokemon. There we go.
Okay, this is my real one though. I actually gave some thought about this, and if anybody has played like what they did with Zelda and Hyrule Warriors, so you got that Warriors Dynasty thing that I think think that would be fun with Pokemon, just having a team where you run around and like fight stuff with them.
I think that would be a lot of fun. I think Pokemon lends itself to that really well. The only problem I can see is it would be really difficult to fit all 807 of them in it.
Well, that game lends itself to waves of like a lot of stuff. Yeah. So like, I think it'd be fun. Like, how cool would it be to actually unleash the power of a Charizard to fire blast, 500 Pidgeys at once?
Yeah, no, I think I think it would be a really interesting thing to do. You'd have to do it really well though. And by that I mean I think what you'd have to do is probably do just like Gen 1 for the first game. Just because you have little Timmy, right? And he really likes Aggron. And he's going to be really upset if Aggron's not there.
That's true.
Alternatively, I guess you could just do like a select few, kind of like you would for Smash, right? You just pick like the ones that lend themselves most to the movement to be able to do something like that. And quote unquote, the most popular ones. Because everybody has their favorite. I would go on a limb to say that almost every Pokemon is somebody's favorite, minus Simisear. But I would say that like every Pokemon is somebody's favorite, and they'll be slightly disappointed if their Pokemon doesn't at least make an appearance, whether it be as an enemy or as a playable character. And then again, having 807 playable characters is awful too.
Well, here's the thing. I think you could easily do it where you have a select few, like you said, just like they do with Pokken, that you can play through with. And then they've already got the 3D models because of the new generations, right? You could easily graph the movements of certain types to certain types. So when you're getting attacked by bird Pokemon, it doesn't matter if it's a Fearow or a Pidgey. They kind of attack the same way. So that would be a way to incorporate all of the models without necessarily being able to play with everything.
I'm a fan of that, though. I think that actually does lend itself really well. It's almost like the Pokemon Rumble franchise, except, I don't know. I think it's a bit more mature, and that could be a lot of fun. I can really see a Dynasty Warriors, because I think the Dynasty Warriors crossovers have been doing really well. One, they released Hyrule Warriors, like, I think 3 or 4 separate times now.
Yeah, they had it for the Wii U, then they had it for the 3DS.
And now it's on the Switch, right?
Now it's on the Switch with the complete mastered edition that's got all the DLC and everything.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I would think of.
I have a bit of a contribution. I know you guys haven't played it, or maybe you have. I'm not going to assume. But Final Fantasy 15 gave me, like, the way it's structured is that you're this one guy and you have, like, 3 friends who follow you around and you travel across, like, this huge open world map and you, like, fight stuff. Well, now, what if those 3 other guys were replaced with, like, your Pokemon team members, and you got to travel around a huge open world map and fight stuff?
Let me take you another level on that. So I've never played Final Fantasy, but I watched my wife play it, and I would go on a limb and say, hey, you've got Final Fantasy, you can take that Final Fantasy, but what you do is you kind of combine it with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon aspects. And I think that would be a lot more fun. It would be more like more like Xenoblade in a way. But you can do it in such a way that you're still like dungeon diving and stuff like that, and you're having some fun with that. I think that's I think that lends itself more to the gameplay in that kind of idea, going around and battling with like 3 other Pokemon, and it can be like from a large pool of Pokemon at that point too, but that way you can go around and battle with them and stuff like that in an open world environment as a party.
Okay, I got it. It's Pokemon Kart. Same thing as Mario Kart, but instead of picking up items, you pick up like TMs when you're driving around the track that allows your Pokemon driver to use their moves on the other drivers.
Okay, so I would be lying if this is not the first time I've thought about that. Because, okay, we've got Link in Mario Kart now. Give me a Pikachu, man. I want to watch Pikachu trying to drive it. I want to see Pikachu try to drive a cart.
Yeah, if Animal Crossing can be in there and like Dry Bones, then we should definitely have Charizard.
Dry Bones is in Mario.
Listen, okay, sometimes you have to stretch things. Whatever. The Miis are in there.
Metal Peach.
Let's not go into that whatsoever, because that is absolutely awful.
I think we're limiting ourselves a little bit, though. We're limiting ourselves to kind of like what the constraints of Pokemon are with the focus on battling. I would be happy with a crossover game that had Pokemon as the world. just kind of like that's the world you live in, and you're doing other stuff like a Grand Theft Auto Pokemon, or something like a racing game that just took place in the Pokemon world, not necessarily.
So that exists. It's called Pokemon Dash, and it is absolutely awful.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but do it better.
What I think would be really cool is like Stardew Valley Pokemon. Right?
Oh God, I'd be stuck for 1,800 hours.
Not just like farming or anything, but maybe you could choose different occupations in the Pokemon world and you can do them. Like I'm a sucker for like tycoon-esque games of any sort, like Stardew and like build your own shop or something like that. Like, oh yeah,
I'm capitalistic monster.
I own this Pokemart and I have my fellow Machamp and he helps unload the boxes from the trucks. Let me schedule when he unloads the trucks,
That seems like it would get old real fast.
No, have you ever played Stardew Valley? That game is addictive. So addictive.
Okay. All right, so as someone who's played like over 80 hours in Stardew Valley, I can say that there is a Stardew Valley Pokemon mod that turns all of your farm animals into different Pokemon. That makes sense.
I need this in my life.
That doesn't help me on my Switch.
I think like your cows become like Camerupts and baby calves become Nummels.
Mm.
Yeah, like, or I think there's all sorts of stuff. Oh yeah, like your pigs become Piloswine and Swinubs.
That's really cute.
Like that.
Does your wife become Gardevoir? Asking for a friend.
No.
I think that would be really cool, though. Just like a game where you can simulate other lives in the Pokemon universe, because there are a ton of other people, right? And
oh my God, they've already got berry planting. I just thought about it. Like, it's already a half a thing. They're already a quarter of the way there.
You just blew my mind, Gator.
I think that's just something you can explore, though. Just doing other Pokemon, like doing other jobs in the Pokemon world other than Pokemon trainer. Like everybody is a quote unquote Pokemon trainer in the Pokemon world, but how many people in the Pokemon world are barbers, like the two haircut brothers in Goldenrod City? Okay. Like we need that game. We need the game where we can simulate occupations outside of the Pokemon world. And you know what, Game Freak? You can make a ton of money off of this because what you can do is you can sell one for each occupation for $10 a piece, right? That way you just choose the occupation you want.
Pokemon Center Simulator 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
An occupation as Pokemon podcaster.
Yeah, you can go to like the Lavender Town radio tower.
Exactly.
It'd be great.
Exactly. I would totally love something like that. I would be down to be like, oh man, I can run a Pokemart in the Pokemon world, or I can run the Pokemon Center in the Pokemon world, or I could be the Pokemon professor in a Pokemon world, right? And I would totally be down for something like that. I love doing those kinds of like optimization simulation tycoon games. I love it.
Man, I hate these episodes. I hate when we talk about stuff like this because it's never going to happen.
Right?
And it just makes me sad inside my heart.
Because that is one of the things that I would totally want. I would eat that up.
The occupation I want is as the old man in Viridian City who battles you with a Weedle and doesn't let you pass until you defeat him. Catch the Weedle. That's what it is.
He catches the Weedle. He just shows you how to do it.
He catches the
He catches the Weedle. He doesn't battle you with the Weedle. The whole reason he doesn't do it is because, quote unquote, in the American version, he didn't have his coffee. And he was totally just like a drunkard in the Japanese version that passed out.
I saw a meme the other day where it was like someone who sent out a Rattata against his Weedle or whatever because they were battling for whatever reason. And like the old man was like, this will be a cinch. But then it's like the trainer's like healing up his Charizard in the background. And like the old man starts to like hug his Weedle goodbye. Weedle goodbye. It's like, I always loved you. Thanks for being a friend.
That's too good.
That's gotten weird.
So that's where I got that misconception from.
So when we brought this topic up in the Viridian Guild chat, a bunch of other people had interesting discussion points that I wanted us to hit just slightly. I think we're all going to be on the same page about most of them. But I think the biggest one is, should there be a, what's it called? Should there be a separate Pokemon fighting game that isn't Smash Brothers / Pokken that lets you battle with all of the Pokemon? Or like, it's a Smash Brothers style fighting game with just all Pokemon characters, I guess is the better way to say it. I would personally say no, just because we have Pokken, and I think that's a much more serious fighting game.
I think that'd be so hard to balance that it would be near impossible.
Even balance-wise, I don't think that would be an issue for me. I think the balance would. I mean, I don't care. It can be the most unbalanced game ever. You can break some characters. I don't care. I'm not a big fighting game buff, though. I'm sure somebody cares. I'm sure like Ethan or somebody's listening to this and they're going to be like, oh, man, you need to balance this, this, and this. But I would really like to see... I don't know. I think it would be hard to market, personally, right? We already have Pokken. We already have Smash Brothers. And then you want something else in between? I don't think that you can actually get another Pokemon fighting game to come out of it, no matter if it's more casual or what. I just don't think you can market it well without there being brand confusion. And especially with Pokemon trying to make the Pokken scene happen, and they're trying like way harder than I think they should be to make Pokken happen. I just don't know. I don't know that you have space for that.
Pokken is great, and I hate that you are bashing on it, mate.
No, I'm not bashing on Pokken. I'm bashing like the competitive community around Pokken. That does not really exist.
Okay, so that's because the online matchmaking with friends is absolutely garbage, but the online matchmaking itself isn't that bad, as long as you're facing random people you don't know.
Yeah, I am fine with that. But the problem is if you have like, there's a lot of issues with it. One, because they're trying to run it like an actual fighting game circuit and not trying to make it part of their Pokemon TPCI circuit. I don't know why. That's not for me to decide. They probably have some business decision that they came up with. They have marketing people. I'm not one of those marketing people. But they try to have it at Worlds and at Nationals and stuff, and there's never anybody that shows up to it. They always have like last chance qualifiers because nobody shows up. And you weren't there when... No, you were there when we went to Nationals in Columbus, and the Pokken room was just empty. Like nobody was playing it.
They were doing the same thing at Worlds, mate.
Yeah, why? What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, at 2016 Worlds, they were just asking like people with spectator passes if they wanted to come and play Pokken.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on.
I don't know if it's changed though, because that was when it was Wii U. But like, I don't mind. It's fun. It's a fun game. I like playing it.
No, I agree with you. It's a fun game. I don't think it's a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. It feels like one of those things they keep trying to make happen, and it's just not happening. You know? It's just not going to happen. And I really, really want it to happen. Because to have a third branch of Pokemon, I think it would be really cool. We can watch the VGC die and Pokken go along with it. We've come full circle this episode. And
how morbid.
Right. But at the same time, I don't know, like Pokken's not doing great, and what else is it? Yeah, Pokken's not doing great. VGC's not doing great, but I don't know. As a third fighting game, I just don't think you could do another fighting game with Pokemon in it. That's where I really want to go with that. I just don't personally think you can do that. Though Pokken, I think, is great. I think it's a great game. I just think it has a very niche audience. And that niche audience is people who are just like, man, I really like Tekken, but I wish there were Pokemon in it. And then you got it. And there's your audience. And the problem is that audience is it's a niche of a niche.
All right. So going back to the topic, kind of, I know we're kind of on the topic, but I'm also going to kind of switch things up a bit. A survival horror game, but Pokemon. Like
How
Dead by Daylight or something. So like I'm thinking like ghost Pokemon and stuff, like abducting people, and you like have to find your friends and not get abducted and such. And they're like, or maybe like something like Evolve, like where you start out as like a weak ghost Pokemon and you have to evolve to one of your higher forms, and then you can like start terrorizing the players or something. It's a thought.
I could see that being so. First of all, I don't think they would ever make that, but I could see it happening as like a one-off thing, like, oh hey, we made this kind of thing during Halloween, but just because it's not kid friendly, I don't think it'll happen. That makes me sad. Yeah. Because that could be fun. I would play that so hard.
Yeah, like games like Evolve and Dead by Daylight's really popular, but Evolve never took off, and it had a lot of money put into it. It was really good.
I just don't think it's something that we'll ever see, just for the fact that the Pokemon company's like, oh, but we got to do everything hand-holdy and for the kids.
Yeah, but
it's for the kids.
Literally evolve. Pokevolve.
I don't know if Pokemon's going to be as hand-holdy here in the future. I think we're going to start to see some kind of shift in the Pokemon company's demeanor in the near future. I think they've finally come to the point with Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. I'm coming back to this. that they finally just come to a point where they realize that their audience is growing up with them and that they can go ahead and start doing things a little bit more mature. Though I think they want to be family friendly, which is fine. You can have family friendly games that are a blast. Look at Mario Tennis. Look at Mario Party. Nintendo is like a master of making family friendly games that are incredibly fun.
You said 2 Mario games.
Yeah.
Splatoon's good.
There we go.
Splatoon, yeah. I mean, it's Mario.
I wish you had just kept going on saying different
Mario
titles.
Tennis, Mario Baseball,
Kart.
Mario Kart. They're just so fantastic at it.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Those aren't that good. Let's not lie. So that is, on that note, let's end the topic there, and we'll kick it on over to a commercial break, and we'll be right back at you with the Pokemon of the episode.
Are you craving some tasty tidbits of Timpole? Have you been dreaming of Delibird Deli sandwiches? What about some of the softest slowpoke tails around? Well, head on over to the Rhyhorn Steakhouse, where you can pick up all these items and more for $5.99 and higher. Also, check out our new Corsola Cola fountain drinks. They won't make your gums bleed. Head on over to the Rhyhorn Steakhouse, where if it moves, we'll serve it.
Poke of the episode. And welcome back. Our Pokemon of the episode is National Dex number 754, Lurantis, the Bloom Sickle Pokemon.
It fires beams from its sickle-shaped petals. These beams are powerful enough to cleave through thick metal plates.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, that's Solar Blade, right? I think that's what it's talking
Are we
about.
sure it's not it's the pantsuit Pokemon?
It's the pantsuit Pokemon. Look at it. It's totally a pantsuit, by the way. Like, it looks like it's wearing a pantsuit. That's all. Lurantis is actually pretty cool, though. It's bad. The only reason it's bad is because, like, every single other Pokemon that came out in Alola that wasn't a Tapu or Ribombee, its base speed is absolute garbage. Its base speed is 45 because I believe all of the Pokemon in Alola are on island time and are too tired to go anywhere fast.
That's pretty true.
I mean, look at all of the Pokemon that came out. They're awful speed-wise.
Even on a Trick Room team, a special attack stat of 80 really isn't even worth the speed loss. It's not worth the investment. Like, I guess you could do a contrary set, but that also requires you have a turn of setup just to get it off the first Leaf Storm so that you can actually start sweeping. And by then, you've already used, like 2 or 3 turns to Trick Room?
Yeah, so it's a good time. It's really bad. But what you should do is, I mean, you can make it work. In a tier such as PU, you could make it work.
It gets defog.
It does get defog. Everything gets defog now. It's crazy. I love the things that got defog by making it a move tutor, by the way.
Oh, it has to breed off of a C dot.
Oh, it has to. Well, no, by that, if it gets it as an egg move, it gets it as the move tutor now.
Oh.
In Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. So that makes life even easier.
Yeah.
So he does have Contrary, though, which isn't a bad move. And he actually has moves that work with it, like Leaf Storm. But his special attack is base 80, and his attack is base 105. Which makes me sad, because I thought he got Superpower. But I might be wrong. I am absolutely wrong. So, no, he does get Superpower. He does get Superpower.
Oh, yeah, it's in Tutor's moves, yeah.
So I wouldn't even run him special. I would run him physical with Superpower. He's like your budget.
Too.
Yeah, he's your budget. What's it called? Malamar. Because Malamar does the same thing. That's what I would do. I wouldn't even run special. I would just run Superpower. Knockoff is a solid move too, I think, Scron. I think that wouldn't be too bad.
Yep. Would you put it on your totem Lurantis you get from Samson Oak?
So that's a solid question. I would do that. I don't know. So totem Pokemon don't actually do anything different. That's the best part. They don't really do anything different.
But they're bigger and scarier.
They're bigger and they get stuck with one ability, and I don't think it's always the desirable one.
Okay. This is blowing my mind. All right. Speaking of the totem Lurantis, it debuted on an episode of the anime.
Yeah.
And the episode was called Currying Favor and Flavor. but currying spelled like curry. This is my favorite thing.
So the Pokemon anime's episodes are all on point. Like, they are just legitimately on point. So it turns out that the Totem Lurantis can't get Contrary. Fun fact, Gator. It can only get Leaf Guard. So
that hurts my soul.
That's garbage. It's just garbage.
Nice.
Unfortunate. Poor Lurantis being even more useless because he can't even use the totem. But if you do a little
bit more,
go for it. Yeah,
it's a little bit more useful in the TCG. So Lurantis has 2 cards that are currently legal and should stay legal even after rotation.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a Lurantis GX that came out in Sun and Moon, and it's pretty decent because for a grass, you can attach. You do 40 damage and attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard to your Pokemon in any way you like. So it's got a way. That's what people are using it for, to like accelerate their stuff out of the discard. And it saw a lot of play with things like Solgaleo and other Pokemon that like to discard stuff. Tapu Bulu, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. But that doesn't see any play anymore. The thing that still does see play is the Lurantis promo, and it's purely for its ability, Sunny Day.
Mm-hmm.
Which says the attacks of your grass and fire type Pokemon do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. So in any grass or fire deck, it helps you go off. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, I was running one for a little bit in a deck with it was before Zoroark GX. It was for the Gliscopod actually. I was running it with Gliscopod GX, and it did well. I prefer running it with a couple other things, or running like an extra Zoroark over the Lurantis. I don't think it was enough damage output to warrant it. But
yeah, if you're gonna be running Stage 1 lines, you might as well be running Zoroark.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. You should just run Zoroark.
Hey, fun trivia about Lurantis is while it's based on the Orchid Mantis, which is a bug like in real life, that is in fact not a plant but looks like a plant, Lurantis is in fact not a bug at all but a plant in Pokemon lore. Yeah.
It's great.
Supposedly disguises,
It disguises itself as a bug.
No, it's a plant that disguises itself as a plant but looks like a bug.
Yeah,
but it's not a bug. Yeah, it makes complete sense.
It's pure grass typing, guys. It's not a bug type. I had to learn that myself.
So, if you're looking to run Lurantis competitively, it is in the PU tier, the tier of champions. Let me tell you,
the tier of champions.
PU's fun. I've played around with it a bit. It's not too bad. It's not the best, but it's still fun. So, if you want to run Lurantis in PU, I think the best way to do it is to take advantage of that contrary ability. And while it's not fast, I think you could just get away with bulking it up. Like, I would just throw 248 in HP, 252 in defense, throw the rest in, I would say speed, just to outspeed other things at base 45. And you get Leaf Storm and Superpower because you're not either, you're not attack heavy and you're not special defense heavy. And then you can have Synthesis so you can keep refilling that HP. Defog's a solid option, but Toxic is also a good option there. You can use it for hazard removal. If you're looking for people to team up with it, I think a couple of them. So a big one would be Weezing's a huge issue against it. So just run your own Weezing. Because then you could just soak up all of the Weezing hits from that. Also, Lantern's a really good choice because Lantern will eat up all the fire and flying type attacks that are coming in for it. And if you're fighting against something like Pharaoh Seed, like I said, Weezing's a good choice. So just definitely, you can play around with it and you get a bunch of other things. I think Pyroar is also in PU right now, so Pyroar sounds like a fun person to throw it with, and you can get a nice Fire, Water, Grass core with Lantern, Lurantis, and Pyroar.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were talking about last episode with it, Grass type just not being fantastic.
Well, Grass isn't terrible. I mean, if you like the Grass, Water, Fire core is really fun to play in Pokemon, and it's always a really good core to have, Grass, Fire, Water, just because Grass will soak up the rest of the weaknesses that the other things that the other two won't pick up, and it'll hit back real hard. And I think Lurantis is in a decent place to do it. You just have to make sure you cover its counters before you send it in and be like, man, I can't wait to contrary sweep. Just because base 45 speed, man. Base 45 speed.
Yeah, in this case, Would you run Synthesis?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm running Synthesis, man. I would totes run Synthesis. Just because you can keep up the longevity then.
Well, it also gets access to Leech Life, so I'm thinking a complete physical set with like Assault Vest would be really good.
You could, but you wouldn't get the stab Leaf Storm though, or you wouldn't have a good grass type stab. And if you're running a Water Grass Fire Core, I feel like a grass type stab is one of those things that you really want.
Leaf Blade isn't bad.
Leaf Blade is bad because it's a 2-turn charge.
Leaf Blade, not Solar Blade.
Oh, Leaf Blade. Oh, yes. You're right. Leaf Blade's not terrible either. That's true. You could run Leaf Blade, but then you're not taking advantage of Contrary too much except for Superpower.
Oh, but like Intimidate counters and stuff.
Mm-hmm. You could run it mixed. I think there's no harm in running it mixed.
Yeah. It requires further experimentation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nothing in PU's known that well. PU's a fun tier. If you haven't gotten there, I would suggest going to play PU just for funsies.
What does PU stand for again?
I don't know, actually.
Useless.
I think pretty useless is the right answer.
Pretty useless. That about sums it up.
They just call it PU, though. I don't think they ever gave it an official name. Like, NU had when you look it up, it says NU is never used and like UU is underused and stuff like that on the Smogon. But if you look up PU, it just says PU is the lowest tier that we have. It doesn't give you an explanation or anything. So that is going to be it though for Laurantis. If you want more awesome Pokemon stuff, check out our Discord. We talk about things like this all the time. So we will we're going to shift gears over to Puckle's mailbag.
It's mail time! It's time for the mailbag! Send in your emails! Your mail's here! Check your inbox! It's time for the mailbag! Mail!
And welcome to the mailbag. The mailbag, as always, is brought to you by the energy drink Green Tauros, the energy drink that gives you hooves.
Hooves.
And as always, we will give out the Green Tauros badge roll to anybody we think inspires discussion and moves the podcast along and makes good content.
Or makes me laugh.
Yeah. If you're new to the show, this is the segment where we read listener emails. You can always email us at pucklepodcast@gmail.com. We typically have a prompt for you. Last week, we wanted to know what type matchups you would like to see changed in the type chart. This week, we want to know what are some games you would like to cross over with Pokemon. Send those into pucklepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll probably read them on the show. So let's get into it. Our first email is going to be from 10 Little Men. And Gator, you've got this one.
I don't want to. I guess I will, but I don't want to. All right.
Oh, man.
Begrudgingly read it.
He's a nice guy, I swear.
I've met him, but I like Woody more. All right. Well,
oh no! Why would you say
take it up with me a Puckle content, little man. Let's go. Well, it is Thatch and his serendipitous co-host. Little Man has returned once again to answer this week's mailbag question: how types interact is a concept that I have spent a long time thinking about. Ultimately, I think that Game Freak has done a terrific job balancing all of the types. There are really only 4 types that I have serious gripes with. Being an ice type is a total death sentence in Pokemon. When Pokemon with stats like Kyurem B can be underwhelming, you know your type has a problem. Oh, okay. First of all, Kyurem Black is my boy, so back off. Rock type is similar to an ice type in that offensively it's great, but actually being a rock type is terrible. On the OP side, we have Fairy. Just adding Fairy types to a Pokemon brings its viability up by at least 2 tiers. The most OP type, however, has got to be Ghost. Ghost type is absolutely ridiculous with as many immunities as it has weaknesses and 2 resistances on top of it. Offensively, it is also incredible. The only reason Ghosts don't feel oppressively powerful is that the actual Pokemon tend to have poor stats and move pools. Ghost is practically the opposite of Dragon, which is honestly a mediocre type that is given the false perception of greatness by the sheer number of pseudo-legendaries with insane stats and disgusting move pools that would be utterly insane on a Pokemon of almost any other type. 20 Protean flip-flops, 10 Little Men type shifted away.
Wow. I totally forgot that he had like ripped on Dragon type there. It's too perfect.
It's true though.
I
don't blame him.
There's still some decent dragon types if you know what you're doing. Like I love Gudra, and I would not call Gudra a pseudo legendary, right? Like
it is a pseudo legendary.
It is.
By its definition, yeah.
If it's above 600.
If it's at 600 base stat total, and it's typically a dragon type. Yeah, that's Gudra though.
There's Metagross, right? And
Metagross is pseudo, and Tyranitar. I think those are the only two non-dragon pseudos.
Yeah.
That's
But like,
true. But Ko-Omo is bad.
Ko-Mo is objectively bad. Yes. Though it's almost good with its exclusive Z move. It's almost good. We're gonna say almost.
Yeah, Salamence, Dragonite, Garchomp, Hydreigon.
Hydreigon was too good for its own good in its heyday. That's the problem.
Oh yeah.
If you want to know who ruined dragon types, it was Hydreigon. Hydreigon hands down ruined dragon types.
I think that's their like concession though. Like they're not going to make all the dragons OP because they've already got a lot of OP dragons. So I don't know if that's a fair statement to make.
Well, they've gotten rid of the OP dragon problem with fairy type. And I don't know. It's just gotten to the point where dragon's kind of middling out now. It's not a great type anymore to have. Like if you have dragon type, yeah, you can maybe do something with it. You'll get stabbed Draco Meteor because you're not Jirachi and you're a dragon type. And that's probably about it. That's just about it.
I like the utility in the being able to hit a lot of things pretty strong for neutral.
Yeah, that's the only good thing. I mean, outside of steel types, the problem is steel is becoming more prominent because of fairy, but you do hit everything else neutrally, just about, I believe.
That's why my Dragonite runs Fire Punch.
Yeah, it should. All right. So let's move on, though, to this next one from Domobot. Scrawn, you've got this one.
Hey, everyone. Just thought it would be interesting to talk about some, in quotes, Pokemon that have shown up in the anime but have not been established as actual Pokemon. For example, Baby Kangaskhan. We've seen it since the original Gen 1, and it came with its rumors of being Cubone without a skill mask, but was never confirmed, at least to my knowledge, leaving it to be somewhat of a mystery. Then Gen 2 comes along, and we get actual baby Pokemon. But Baby Kangaskhan was not one of them. Why? And to this day, still no establishment of the Pokemon, no individual name/number. Why is it the only Pokemon to have a different form as a baby, but still count as Kangaskhan? Another Pokemon to go along with this subject would be the recently revealed split evolution of Shellder. In the anime, we literally see it evolve with Slowpoke after Shellder bites Slowpoke's tail into Slowbro's tail. And even now, see that there was a sprite and dex number created for it. So why didn't they create these Pokemon that were essentially already created? I would like to know everybody's thoughts on this, and why Pokemon didn't establish these Pokemon. I'm sure there are a couple more Pokemon with this situation, but these are the two that stick out to me most. Anyway, love the show. Keep up the good work. Domobot.
Oh, man. So the really boring answer is it was Gen 1 and nobody knew what they were doing in Gen 1. The more complicated answer is, one, Kangaskhan's always female, and they don't make baby Pokemon for Pokemon that are gender specific like that, minus Jinx, I guess. Though I think you can have a male Jinx. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. But they typically don't do gender specific. I'm looking up Jinx right now because I'm going to say something wrong and somebody's going to be like, well, they're going to display their card. No, they are 100% female, so my entire logic's wrong.
There's no reason to say, though, that baby Kangaskhan needs to evolve into the larger Kangaskhan. Yeah, maybe it just grows. It doesn't evolve. Exactly. It just gets bigger.
Exactly. And then because the way the game works, you don't see that happen. Another thing to do is also, like with the Cubone thing, by the way, Pokemon kind of gave a nod that is exactly what's happening. They did that in Gen 7 recently because the only way to get a Kangaskhan is to go and get and find a Cubone on Wayla Volcano and get the SOS battle to trigger a Kangaskhan encounter.
Okay, so that's false because there's a 1% chance you can just run into Kangaskhan.
I think that's in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, not in Sun and Moon. Let me double check.
That's in Sun and Moon.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm wrong, but I think the point still
you're
stands.
Not entirely wrong. Yeah, I think your point stands. I think they are, related in some way.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense at any rate. But, like...
I think they've nodded to it to an extent with that.
It wears the skull of its mother. But, like, Kangaskhan's skull doesn't really look like the skull of Marowak.
Well, yeah, the Marowak skull doesn't look like the Cubone skull. So you're assuming a Marowak is the mother of a Cubone, which I think is a bold assumption. Because you could just say it emotionally changes itself, and so it evolves into something different when it gets older.
Or maybe, like, malnutrition was the common thing. Talks about.
Honestly,
but, like, that requires, like, an entire species having malnutrition problems, and that's just really hard to stomach. So I just go along with whatever Pokemon says and don't think too hard about it.
I don't want to think about the sadness. I don't.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So even if you can't catch a Kangaskhan, the 1% that the Kangaskhan can be found at is taken out of the Cubone's 25% to bring Cubo down to 24. So, like, I feel like that's just like a nice nod from Pokemon. Like, yeah, you guys are probably right.
Alone.
Yeah, I really think though that they were just like, yeah, you're probably right. Here you guys go. You can have you can have your head cannon, because Pokemon, as I will always say, is all about that head cannon.
No, it's about shoulder cannons. It's Blastoise Day.
And then we also have Shelder, right? He was asking about Shelder. That's another thing that Pokemon just didn't think about, I think. They're just like, yeah, Shelder evolves like this. And we see it in the anime, and Gen 1 anime in particular, Wild Wild West of Pokemon. I'm pretty sure they're just like, here's some pictures, and then they're just like, okay, we're gonna go make an anime based off this. And that was it.
Just have its tongue sticking out, because it has a tongue.
Yeah. I wouldn't trust like the Gen 1 anime with anything about game canon or anything. So take that for what you will. Aim for the horn. That's all I have to say. Aim for the horn.
Yeah. All right.
Now,
so what other Pokemon like this could exist?
I don't think any of them do. I think it was just because, like, both of them are Gen 1 Pokemon that he mentioned because it was Gen 1 oversight.
Well, what happens to the little tiny Cherubi on Cherubi when it evolves into Cherum? What happens to it? I need answers!
Maybe it falls off and becomes its own little Cherubi, like full-grown one.
Mind blown again.
Boom. Gotcha.
Wow.
Got him. All right.
I hope that's what happens.
This next one is from Crossmog. Hey, Puckle. Crossmog here, writing into the mailbag. As for Steel's loss of a Dark Resist, I have one Pokemon for you, Metagross. I believe it was removed solely to nerf it, and now that it has a Mega, can you imagine it resisting Dark again? A type I like to change is having Fire and Ice weak to each other. I remember back in Gen 1 thinking they were when I could get a super effective on a Charizard with Blizzard. That's all I got for this week. I've got to get out of here before Lily tries to put me in the bag again. Crossmog out.
Get in the bag, Nebby!
Get in the bag.
I love
Get in the bag. It's like get in the truck, but more oppressive. But I do agree with him with Steel losing the Dark Resist solely because of Metagross. I will accept that as an answer, because if Steel resisted Dark, Metagross would be nasty, and we always live in this bubble of like Smogon tiers. But if you're playing VGC, those don't exist. And that's the meta that Pokemon actually cares about.
Mm-hmm.
And Mega Metagross was a big thing in that, especially this year. Like, I ran one. And Mega Metagross is scary, and it was just like, here's more resistances for him. He's doing really well, guys. And Mega Metagross would just be disgusting to play against. So I will agree with that. As for Ice being super effective against Fire, I don't think that should ever happen. We have Water. You're literally just like, well, the Ice becomes Water. And it's just like, well, the Water type's super effective.
It doesn't make sense either, because fires can burn perfectly in cold environments. It's more of a matter of like oxygen availability and like the things that are strong against fire are things that smother fire, and the things fire is strong against are the things that, well, it doesn't make sense that, okay, it makes sense that fire's strong against ice because it melts ice, but yeah, never mind. I'm messed
No,
up.
you're right. You're right. I agree with you.
Yeah, so like things that smother fire, like earth or water, and rocks, like stuff that you can put out fires with, are strong against it. Yeah.
I agree with that. Well, that is all of our emails for today. Anybody you think should get the Green Taurus badge? I think anybody but 10 Little Men gets it. Either Domobot or Crossmog.
I say Domo.
Okay.
Domobot, you've won the Green Tauros badge. You just go to our Discord and ask for it. We'll give you that role. And you can turn green in our Discord server. Well, that is going to be it for the mailbag this week. If you want to join in on next week's mailbag, you can do so by going to pucklepodcast.com or pucklepodcast@gmail.com and just sending us an email. This week, our question is going to be, what game would you like to see Pokemon crossover with? Send it. We'll read it. We'll have a good time. We'll talk about it. So let's do that. And if you want to do more awesome Puckle stuff, first of all, come to our Discord server. It's a lot of fun. We have a blast over there. While you're at it, you can also check out our website where you can find links to our Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, all on pucklepodcast.com. On top of that, you can also watch Jushira and myself on Twitch at twitch.tv/thepucklepodcast, where he does TCG, I do the video game. We have a blast. It's a good time. I think this week I'm going to add an extra day of streaming as well on the Saturday. So definitely watch out for that. And finally, if you haven't already, get your ticket to PuckleCon. By ticket, I mean your plane/car ticket to PuckleCon on the 21st and 22nd of July. We will be having a bunch of events over there. We're on Pokemon.com. Dayton, Ohio, in the Dayton Convention Center, July 21st to 22nd, room 306. It's going to be a good time. I'm super excited about it. But I believe that is all of my spiel at the end of the show. So I am Trainer Thatch.
I'm Scrum.
And I'm going to Pokemon Community Day.
And here in the Lavender Town Radio Tower, it's closing time.
It's closing time in Lavender Town. Time to say our goodbyes. It's closing time. Farewell, my friends. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Hello, and as always, I would like to thank our patrons who help make this show possible. So let's go through it. Thank you to duly noted 10 Little Men, Andrea, The Fluffiest Whimsicott, Dr. Shamu, Mongo87, Snag, Dexio, Jushiro, Rotted Mushroom, Bocephus, Ryan, Seth Vilo, Minor Manetric, Claude9, The Beauty and the Geek, John, R. Sigma, Doc McStuffles, Jestern, The Golden Clef Key, Uncle Oshawott, Trevor, TJ, Shambles, Birdkeeper Cobra, Daniel Traby, Greg Alec, Carnivore J, Mikey, Ozzy, Half-Full Reviews, Ozzy, Sparky, Brian, Dylan, Shira, Ironcaster, Orange Avenger, Thomas, Locke, Dennis, Echo, Anime Gravy, Travis, Mark, Inferno235, and The Real Eevee. As always, guys, thank you so much. You too can become a patron and have your name said at the end of the show by going to patreon.com/PucklePodcast. And of course, if you're a patron, you can come down to Puckle's live show this weekend on Friday, July, I believe, 13th. Let me double check that. July 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing a live show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I use these at Town Hall, and I really like talking to you guys. So I hope to see you there. Catch you guys on the flip-flop.